Show. My name is Danny Heifetz, and I'm joined by Danny Kelly and Craig Horlbeck. For now, Craig is going to go to the Emmys tonight because I guess he's, fancy or whatever. So we're doing this the second portion of the show will be the three of us, and I'll talk about the early slate of games, right, Craig?
Yep, the early slate of
early
games.
window,
Correct.
The morning slate, yeah.
Don't please. And so then, but we're going to hear right now after this break is going to be Deacon and I talking about Sunday Night Football, Chiefs, Eagles, all the other stuff after the early window of games, those four games. And then we're going to come back and we're going to have Craig's thoughts on the early games. And then, Craig, fancy big wig at the Emmys.
Yes, so stick around. We've got a great show for you today. Ace of Base is here. Stick around and we'll be right back.
This episode of the Ringer Fantasy Football Show is presented by Hyundai. The all-new Hyundai Palisade Hybrid proves that an incredible SUV is so much more than the sum of its parts. It's more than a spacious interior. It's more than being able to navigate difficult terrain. And it's way more than driving farther than you ever thought possible. It's the all-new Hyundai Palisade Hybrid. So much more than just another SUV. Visit HyundaiUSA.com or call 562-314-4603 for more details. We're here after Sunday Night Football with DK. Craig is not here. Craig's at the Emmys doing what I hope he's at a bunch of parties. That would be cool.
Just having the time of his life without it.
If he's not, then he should have just been doing this show, but hopefully he's having a fun time. So we are going to go through the four games. We recorded with Craig earlier in the day. We're going to go through the four games that happened after that recording. So Falcons just beat the Vikings 22-6 in Sunday Night Football. I mean, an ugly game.
Yeah.
There were no touchdowns for 57 minutes, and it wasn't because of electric defense. It was good defenses beating the crap out of overwhelmed quarterbacks, right, DK?
Yeah, absolutely. I think, obviously, let's talk about J.J. McCarthy. Did not have a good game. We are now looking at 7 out of 8 quarters of his year so far being pretty atrocious, which is definitely disconcerting. I took down the stats of outside of last week's fourth quarter where he went unconscious and scored 3 touchdowns and led the Vikings to a comeback win. He is now 18 of 33 for 214 yards, 0 touchdowns, 3 picks, 6.5 yards per attempt. Everything is too slow. This is, I guess, what you'd expect from a young quarterback coming into the league, and wasn't super experienced in the first place. I think the ball is just coming out way too slowly. He in the NFL right now, he leads the league in sack rate, 20%. He was sacked 5 times in the first quarter or in the first half alone in this game. So everything is just too slow. There are, I think, concerns about just how slowly the ball is getting to players downfield sometimes. I don't know. Everything just needs to speed up with him. So yeah, J.J. McCarthy, worrisome performance in this game, but obviously not giving up on him right now.
Excuses. I'll make them right now. J.J. McCarthy's first 2 NFL games, they're supposed to look bad. They happen to be on Monday Night Football and Sunday Night Football. Almost never happens for rookies, but he's not a rookie, so it happened for him. I kind of think of these games were at 1 p.m. Eastern, or some people call it 10 a.m. Pacific. If the games were then, we wouldn't care.
Well, we wouldn't be talking about it nearly as much.
No, and so it's and also it was his second game ever in the NFL, and he had a baby 4 days ago, and it's he missed practice, and I'm like, okay, so he went on Sunday Night Football after missing a practice. He said a child. Weird week. Having said that, if J.J. McCarthy is still playing like this in 6 weeks, this is an unmitigated disaster.
Well, especially since they moved on from Sam Darnold in the offseason. Sam Darnold helped them win 14 games last year. He threw 35 touchdowns. And obviously Sam Darnold is a veteran. He's been around. And now the Vikings are in a situation where they have a team that you think could compete, in the NFC to be one of the best teams outside of the quarterback. Now they're kind of developing their quarterback. I thought he would hit the ground running faster.
And I think we all did, but
concerning.
It's the trap of Darnold did, so McCarthy did. I'm we didn't see him play. There's no, but we heard so much about him getting mental reps while he was hurt. It hasn't shown so far. I will say the other excuse, offensive line for Minnesota is really banged up. The left tackle Christian Darrisaw's hurt. His backup got hurt in this game, so they were in third string.
Can't run the ball.
No, that affects TJ Hawkinson, ends up having to block more. It just affects everything. Can't run. Aaron Jones got hurt. Ryan Kelly, the center, left the game. There's all those issues. Having said that, the Falcons' defensive line's way better. They drafted the 2 first-rounders. We made fun of them for trading up a future first to get them, but they looked like having Atlanta had a pass rush.
Yeah,
Atlanta had a pass rush for the first time in forever. It was they had the most sacks in the first half in 15 years. That's awesome. But honestly, the story of the game for Atlanta is Bijan Robinson. It's Saquon, Gibbs, and Bijan, and honestly, I don't think Bijan's third. It's I think Saquon just out of the lore of the last season is first. Bijan to me is very clearly to me, I think it's a top 4 skill player in the entire league.
Yeah, I think there, just being on this team and the Falcons weren't super good last year. I think people have kind of forgotten how good Bijan is and why he was such a highly lauded prospect coming into the league. And this game to me was just a perfect reminder of why he was such a high pick and why teams are so enamored with him. I mean, he is just so big, so explosive, so decisive with his cuts. He has a very unique sort of forward lean style run where he almost looks like he's stumbling. He's like leaning so far forward.
He's doing the Michael Jackson Thriller.
He just has a unique running gait, but he's so good and he makes such sharp cuts that guys just consistently over pursue it when they're trying to tackle him, and he just cuts back against the grain. He's so good, so explosive. The first 2 plays of the game was like 17 yards and 25 yards, and then at that point we're like, okay, that's what this type of game is gonna be. Penix, I don't think really did a whole lot. 13 to 21 for 135 yards, but they really didn't need him to do that much.
Didn't look sharp. Didn't need him as much as
Right.
the Vikings
They
needed.
just were able to run the ball so well in this game, and the Vikings couldn't. So, and obviously credit to the Falcons, where credit is due. They drafted 2 pass rushers, and both those guys made impact plays tonight. And it's nice to see them finally have a pass rush. So, yeah.
No, I totally agree. The other thing I want to just hit on quickly, we talked about this later in this episode with Craig about Joe Burrow's injury. I want to just give an update where the thing we found out since then is actually Joe Burrow going to be out for 3 months.
Yeah,
maybe,
at least
with
3
his
months.
toe injury. At least 3 months. We'll see.
That's what the reporting is saying right now. I think there's still a chance he could go and see this special. There's word that he's going to go see a specialist and see what this guy says. But right now the reporting is that he will be out for 3 months at least.
When the way this information has come out generally means that it would be 3 months or more, not 3 months or less. So Joe Burrow, again, now he tore an ACL rookie year, 2 years ago, he had the wrist injury. I mean, that each cost him like half a season. And now it's like, this is going to be 3 months of the Bengals.
He's already won the
Burrow.
comeback player of the year twice. He's 28.
He's going for the three-peat.
Brutal.
Real quick, now just an update to what we talked about later, DK. How do you feel about just Chase Brown with Jake Browning, who played beer pong with us at the Super Bowl
and
instead of Joe Burrow?
He sunk it on his first try too, I think.
Yeah.
Just a baller, just a gamer. I think big picture, the Bengals are clearly not as good with Jake Browning at quarterback. That's like an obvious thing. But I think from a fantasy point of view, not all is lost. Jake Browning showed last year and in this game, honestly, that he can kind of keep things going. He's going to turn the ball over a lot more than Burrow does, but he's willing to turn the ball loose and push it down the field. And so, like, I'm not really afraid for Jamar Chase and T. Higgins going forward, even if Burrow is out. It's obviously less than ideal.
It sucks
for fantasy and for reality, but Jake Browning can still at least keep these guys alive in fantasy.
Fantasy football's stupid because Daniel Jones was a 10,000 times better draft pick than Joe Burrow. That's why fantasy football's dumb.
Brutal.
Whose fantasy is Daniel Jones over Joe Burrow? Stupid sport. Anyway, all right. Speaking of stupid games, Eagles-Chiefs. The Eagles beat the Chiefs 20-17. Chiefs are 0-2. DK, what did you make of this game?
Maybe I just have fantasy brain, and that's definitely possible, but this was like such a boring game. Did you have fun watching this game? It was just honestly, 2 ugly ass offenses, the grinding out. It was just a terrible game from both quarterbacks. Patrick Mahomes, I think, led the team in rushing, led the Chiefs in rushing. And it was just, I don't know. It was one of those games where both defenses dominated until the very end. The Eagles got a couple of calls that kind of went their way and gritted out a win in Kansas City, which obviously is like impressive, but like from a entertainment point of view, this was not a fun game to watch.
No, the Chiefs had like 3 good drives. They had the one with the Mahomes rushing touchdown. They had the touchdown that Kelsey turned into an interception.
Right.
And then like just handed Andrew McCouby the ball. And then the last touchdown to Tyquan Thornton, but they never got the ball back. And everything else was pretty brutal.
To 8 punt. The teams combined for 8 punts in this game. Jalen Hurts didn't complete a pass. You wrote this down. Didn't complete a pass past 6 yards until 10 minutes left in the game. Basically, he was just dinking and dunking. I got a text during the game that like is basically Mahomes just Justin Fields now. Mahomes is like scrambling around, making all these plays. There was one play where he lowered his shoulder and truck sticked a defender to get a first down. Led the team with 66 yards and a touchdown on the ground. He missed he did end up hitting that deep pass to Tyquan Thornton for a touchdown late in the game. But man, there was a couple other plays where he had guys open downfield and he completely overthrew him. It's just so weird to see him so inaccurate on those plays.
Well,
and then what?
not to be all like Gordon Ramsay, like, oh, dude, don't criticize Mahomes. I'm like, I don't watch the Chiefs to be like Patrick Mahomes is the problem. Everyone
I'm
else
not
is
saying
the problem.
that. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying these offenses are hard to watch.
The offenses are very hard to watch, but I'm very jealous of an analogy that Bill made on his show. I forget when he said it, that these Chiefs are like the 09 Patriots, in that they're kind of like between dynastic eras. Like the Chiefs just had like a 6-year like dynasty run, 3 Super Bowls and 5 Super Bowl appearances, 3 Super Bowl wins. And like, frankly, they're all just like riding the high of like, they traded away Tyreek Hill, stole 2 Super Bowls, but they just shoestring and bubblegummed at left tackle and wide receiver. And now they're hitting here like Worthy's hurt, Rashee Rice is suspended, Josh Simmons is a rookie whose best skill seems to be running down safeties who are trying to score.
That was an incredible play.
Unbelievable play. Low key, one of the best things anyone's done all season.
I think I saw you reached 18 miles an hour on that.
That was crazy. That was like
Pretty
actually
impressive.
so. That is actually a good reminder of how crazy athletic these guys. That's why it's so hard to play left tackle. Like, why can't they find a left tackle? It's like, because you have to be like 6'6", 320 and be able to run down an NFL safety. That was sick play. Having said that, man, the Chiefs wide receivers are so beat. And like, I feel like we almost don't talk enough about the fact that who did we talk so much recently about having the worst NFL receiving core? I feel like we said so much that the Patriots had nobody.
Mm-hmm.
The Chiefs are essential players in their Chiefs offense are 2 different players New England has cut. Like Juju Smith-Schuster and Tyquan Thornton were not good enough to make the New England Patriots. Just absolute essential players in the Kansas City offense. The thing couldn't exist without these guys. And at some point,
Juju,
what the hell Kareem Hunt would not be in the NFL. If the Chiefs cut Kareem Hunt, I don't even know if the Texans would sign him. I don't think it'd be in the NFL. That's a third of their offense. Good point.
It's funny because I think coming into this year, we were excited about the Chiefs because it felt like their offensive skill players were coming together, at least at the receiver position. When Rashee Rice is back and when Xavier Worthy is back, like they will have a pretty dynamic group there.
But Worthy got hurt in the 3rd play of the game, and we thought Rashee Rice was going to get suspended September 28th, and then they did it. They did a plea deal, basically.
But I would say, you mentioned Thornton and Smith-Schuster. Even with Thornton, his speed, I think he's just so much of a sort of one-trick pony.
Yeah.
And even with Marquise Brown, who is theoretically fast, he is more of just like the underneath, like pepper him with short targets and have him run around a little bit. Watching the Chiefs offense, they still just look really slow to me. That is like the main thing I notice every time I watch them lately is they just look slow. And so I think that's a huge problem in today's NFL.
Genuinely only employ the slowest and fastest players in the NFL. There's very few. There's nobody in the middle. It's like Kareem Hunt, Pacheco, unfortunately, is on this list now, and Travis Kelce are like 3 of the slowest players that are skilled players in the NFL. And then Tyquan Thornton and Xavier Worthy are like, and Juju Smith-Schuster is also slow as hell. And then Tyquan Thornton and and Xavier Worthy are 2 of the fastest people alive. And there's no one in the middle, and you see it. And I just, it's such a slog. It's so tough to watch. But then, the Eagles, though, are weird because they're like they're like a Batmobile that like won't start. It's really weird sometimes. And I think there's a lot of stuff with this like Kevin Patullo offense. He's the offensive coordinator, took over this Eagles offense, who's probably going to get a lot of flack, fair or not. But basically the idea being that outside coordinators have done well with this Eagles offense, and people who are like Sirianni's guys are kind of, maybe there's a lack of ideas or creativity. I don't know if that's fair or not, but like just Jalen, literally at the end of the game, Chris Jones yelled at Jalen Hurts, like, you didn't have 100 yards. And Jalen Hurts like, shut the fuck up. We won the game. Which is funny, but also, just Jalen Hurts had 7. We joked all the time about who had more passing yards each week, Navy or Justin Fields. Jalen Hurts had 7 more passing yards than the Navy offense this week.
Yeah.
And so, like, that's not the plan. And honestly, 28, a third of it was basically like a Devontae Smith ball that got lucky.
I saw the stat. Spagnuolo blitzed Hurts on 16 out of 25 dropbacks in this game, which is the highest rate he's ever done since taking the job in Kansas City. So they blitzed him on, a ridiculous amount of his dropbacks. And Hurts was basically just trying to get rid of the ball quickly and avoid sacks. And they didn't do much on offense. What did he finish? He had 101 yards on 22 attempts.
Yeah, it's crazy. We have all week to talk about. The Chiefs are 0-2. 90% of teams that start at 0-2 don't make the playoffs. It's not like any of those teams had Patrick Mahomes or were super winning teams. However, the Chiefs have won the AFC West 10 straight times. They're now in last place. So
they won 15 games last year, right? Or
they lost 2 games all of last season.
Right.
And now they already lost 2 games.
So
this
is, I mean,
and they won 17 games in a row, winning 1-score games.
Yeah,
now they're left
that
2
was what
straight.
I was going to say. Shield brought this up, and it's so true. Last year, the Chiefs in games decided by 7 points or less were 10-0. In games this year decided by 7 points or less, they're 0-2. It's just, that's why everyone talks about variance. And for the longest time, I just believed that Patrick Mahomes is unkillable. You know what I mean? He is just that guy who can lead you back late in the game and execute when it absolutely has to happen. But, you know, I think in this game in particular, the Eagles just didn't really let him, right? Like, they just kind of drained the clock out.
I want to talk about the Eagles, and the stat that I don't understand and want to acknowledge is the Eagles put this out that Nick Sirianni owns his record is 50-20, which is 71% winning percentage. He's passed George Allen for the second best winning percentage by a head coach in the Super Bowl era, only trailing John Madden.
Yeah,
and he's the 7th head coach in NFL history to reach 50 wins in 70 games, joining Paul Brown, George Seifert, Guy Chamberlain, Chuck Knox, Vince Lombardi, Don Shula.
Some legendary names there, and then Nick Sirianni. I fucking love that.
Yeah. Anyway, but so I do have to say that we have to talk about the tush push, and
yes,
have
you noticed this before? That this is a thing that they do before?
Or
am I like an idiot?
A little, but I think today was the most egregious it's ever been.
The most obvious.
Where the
explain
guards,
what happened.
So basically, the Eagles are doing the tush push, and the tush push, honestly, there were 2 things that changed this game. Travis Kelce and the tush push. The biggest play of the game was Travis Kelce. Patrick Mahomes threw him a touchdown in the end zone, and Travis Kelce it hit his hands, and he hit it off his own face into an Eagles player, Andrew Bakuba, who ran it like 60 yards the other way, and Josh Simmons stopped to pick 6. But that, and what was this, a 3-point game? Like,
I mean, that's the type,
flipped the whole game.
That's the type of variance you talk about when teams are winning 1-score games.
Exactly.
Like, sooner or later, plays like that are going to happen.
A.J. Brown also, the next drive, bobbled the ball that hit his hands. It went straight up. Guess what? The Chiefs couldn't catch it. They dove. And but that's the margin. The other thing that changed this entire game was the tush push, because the tush push ended the game on the final drive. Chiefs couldn't get it back, but the Eagles scored their touchdown on the game. They got the go-ahead touchdown with the tush push. People have been quibbling with the formations the Eagles use. It's like the way people line up both sides, offense, defense, is just like preposterously not really the way it's supposed to go on the tush push. But the way football works, and I'm going to just say this because I don't know if it's really obvious. The play doesn't start when the quarterback says like hike or whatever. The play begins when the center snaps the ball. The movement of the ball is the beginning of the play.
Right.
And the coordination of the offense, knowing when they're going to snap the ball, is how the offense gets an advantage on a given play, but especially the tush push. Knowing the snap count is why it works. The Eagles guards are going before the ball is snapped. And
they did it like multiple times, so you know it is 100% intentional for the record.
I don't know if it's intentional as much as it might not have to be intentional as much as they talked about this on Sunday Night Football. Snapping the ball when you're the center on the tush push is ass. And like, you kind of have to, I don't know exactly. It's just, everyone's amped up, man. Everyone's juiced up. I don't know if it's intentional or not. They're all just trying to go. But clearly the Eagles have been getting away with it long enough that it's crept into the routine of like, the guards in this game on the touchdown were so egregiously early. Andy Reid could not believe they didn't call a false start.
Yeah.
And
it was very obvious when you watch the video. The 2 guards, their helmets dive down below the center before he snaps the ball. And that's like, I think, critical for how they kind of do their submarine blocks.
I think there's going to be like a performative flag on the Eagles next week when they do the tush push, just to be like, no. Like, everyone's mad enough about you. Like, don't make this a thing.
It's similar in a different way to like how the left tackle for the Chiefs back in the couple of years ago, or last year, I can't remember when it was.
Yeah, kept lining up. Well,
getting a jump on the snap. Andy was lining up like way off the line.
That's the funny. You couldn't be more on DK, because on one hand, this is a totally game-changing thing that the Eagles, if they false started, it would have been 4th and 6 at the goal line, and it would have been a completely different game. However, the last people anyone wants to hear complain about false starts is Chiefs fans. I don't care what you think.
No one in the country outside of Kansas City gives a fuck. Because the Chiefs are the team that the NFL is cheating for, remember?
Literally 30 other
rigged.
teams complaining about this would be received better than the Chiefs complaining about it. Having said that, everyone's kind of getting mad at the tush push too. I'm still team, like, it's kind of funny that everyone's like, it's unstoppable, but no one else is good at doing it yet. I'm like, you're just mad they won. But
look, I've been on record. I love the tush push. I think it's so cool how they've essentially commandeered an extra down because they can so consistently convert on third and fourth down. It's just incredible what they're able to do with that.
I just think it's really funny that people want to ban new ideas rather than like dare like learn how to do them. But whatever, man. Not my job. I will say overall though, Travis Kelce had a brutal game. Mahomes, the Chiefs just don't look good. But again, the Chiefs they're just in between eras. And I think that later when Rashee Rice and Xavier Worthy and Josh Simmons are like more veteran, could be good.
Are you worried that they're not going to make the playoffs at this point now? Or are you just kind of like wait and see?
Yeah, Chiefs have two juggernauts coming up, the Giants and the Ravens. So that's tough. Chiefs do have Ravens, Lions left in their schedule and stuff. Other games I want to hit here before we get to everything else that happened. Colts, Broncos. I mean, Daniel Jones and the Colts beat Denver Broncos. Colts are 2-0.
Yeah, this is classic. I love the NFL. You just literally never know how things are going to go. Obviously, I'm kind of a Daniel Jones hater. Heifetz, I don't know where you land on Jones these days, whether you think this is real or not, but Danny Dimes was 23 of 34, 316 yards and a touchdown, had another rushing touchdown through 2 weeks in fantasy. He's the quarterback 3. He has 111 pass rating, which is 6th best. My take on this, and by the way, Sheil Kapadia, our colleague, said that the best offense in the NFL based on EPA per drive and success rate right now is the Indianapolis Colts. And they played a damn good defense today.
I don't think that Daniel Jones actually played that well today. I think the Colts are playing really well overall. Yeah. I think the Colts defense, Cam Bynum, I think is the most underrated player in the NFL. Like, it's kind of crazy to think that the Vikings let Cam Bynum go the way that, I mean, he's the celebration guy, but he's gone beyond that. I think he's actually one of the better safeties playing right now.
Didn't he have another good celebration?
Yeah, he put the ball under his shirt. He got another pick, put the ball in his shirt. He did like the weird, I'm not going to do it on camera, but the what's with mascots and hip thrusts? Why are mascots allowed to
It's provocative.
It is provocative. It was very provocative. But so Cam Bynum played great, but honestly, Jonathan Taylor played out of his mind.
Yeah, he looks like the best running back in the NFL other than maybe Bijan right now, obviously, and then Saquon, but he looked electric. 215 scrimmage yards in this game, 25 rushes, 165 yards, plus 50 yards on the ground, and through the air, and a touchdown. He hit 22.4 miles per hour, which is the fastest ball carrier speed since Raheem Mostert back in 2020, and he's like, 220 pounds. He is so explosive, silky smooth when he gets going.
The other thing that was interesting about this was obviously we were all like, Denver going to be the best defense in the NFL or whatever, at least one of them. And the whole strength that Denver has. I mean, Patrick Surtain was the defensive player of the year, cornerback. They have Riley Moss. They drafted Johnny Barrett. Like the Colts went at the Broncos cornerbacks. A lot of people throw away from Surtain. He did tweak his ankle in this game, but the Colts were like, we're bigger than you. They were like, Tyler Warren's huge. Michael Pittman's huge. Alec Pierce is not small. And they just kind of were like, yeah, we're just going to like post you guys up. And which is kind of what the idea was in theory for a long time, but it was interesting to see it kind of, it's not like they dominated Denver in the air, but like they really, I mean, the running game was very impressive in Indy. And I also the defense, man, the defense looks really good. So yeah, the Colts, it was really fun. I will say, we have to say though, the call at the end of the game was, the Broncos were very disciplined in saying after the game, no game is about one play. Having said that, hard to find a clear example of the outcome of a game shifting on a call. Because what happened was, if you didn't see it, was the game, it was pretty perfect for an issue where the Colts were down 2 points and attempting a 60-yard field goal with functionally like 2 seconds on the clock. And they missed the kick. Game over.
Also, I think they did a pretty weird and poor job of getting themselves in position to make a 60-yard field goal to win the game. They were like really taking their sweet time and running very weird plays to get to that point. So they kind of screwed themselves. And so then the refs throw a flag on the missed kick and say, leveraging one of the defensive linemen of the Broncos, like you're not allowed to use like other players as launching pads. Like you're not allowed to like jump on your teammate's back and then jump up like a double jump like Mario and try to block the kick. You're also not allowed to jump on top of an offensive lineman and double jump, like a box jump or something. That's not what he did.
And you're also not allowed to jump over the long snapper because it's like a safety thing because he has to snap.
Mm.
They didn't do any of those things. The guy who was over the snapper at the last second switched over and then kind of dunked on the guard. But instead of dunking a basketball, he just tried to. But you know when people dunk sometimes, they kind of like take the guy's head and just kind of shove it under their crotch, you know, and be like, like he kind of did that. It was kind of like a little helmet slap of like I don't want my balls
trying to
hit
take
your
a
head.
charge and you jump over him or whatever.
Well, you know, it's straight up. You're posterizing a guy and you don't want your balls to like get. I don't know. I don't. You know, I've never dunked. I don't know the point.
Okay.
Well, acting like I dunk, but you know what I'm talking about. Like I think they go to dunk, one hand up and one hand on the other guy's head, and they called leverage penalty. That's not what that is. He did not gain a foot by pushing up on this guy's head. He hit it out of the way, and it changed the whole game. And then they got him a 15-yard penalty, 45-yard kick. Colts win it. They win the game.
I think charitably, it was a ticky-tack call. And if we were getting serious, like it was a ghost call. So yeah, it was obviously a really, really big deal. I don't even like know what to say about these things. It just sucks.
So the only thing I can think of, and I think that the most underrated part of these calls is there are two different things. There's league emphasis and stuff. And then there's the most underrated part of like, why'd they call that? Is I want to go back and look at the other kicks in the game. Is the other team is screaming at the refs, he's doing this constantly. And so when you're like, where'd they look at that from? Where'd they get the idea that this cornerback's holding? The receiver has been screaming at the ref that the guy's holding for 58 minutes. Like, that's usually where it comes from. So if right before the kick, Shane Steichen, or I guess the Colts special teams coordinator, goes up to the ref and is like, look, he's been doing this whole game. Look, he's going to jump and leverage. And then the ref's like, damn, yeah, he put his head on the head. He's leverage. But like, he probably never would, you know what I mean? And I'm not saying that happened. Yeah, it is like lobbying. You work the refs. Anyway, I'm not saying that that's what happened in this situation, but like, you never see it. So anyway, that sucks. But
it was a brutal turn of events for sure.
Yeah. Later in the episode with Craig, we're not sure what the worst ref moment of the week is. That's absolutely it. Last game that happened here in the late window, and then we're going to get to all the early window games with Craig. Cardinals beat the Panthers 27-22. What a weird game. Arizona was up 27-3, and then they almost turned Bryce Young into Falcons Super Bowl Tom Brady. They almost gave up a 27-3 lead.
I mean, I think like if you're looking for silver linings from the Panthers' point of view, because obviously the Cardinals, I think, should have won this game, and they did end up winning the game. They did enough to win, so that's good for them. For the Panthers, I thought Bryce looked more confident, especially in the second half. Like he brought them back in the end of the game and gave them a chance to like be in the game and gave them a chance to win. In the second half, they had touchdown, turnover on downs to end the game, which was basically he took a sack on fourth down, which is not great, obviously. Get rid of the fucking ball. But Bryce ended up 35 of 55, 328 yards, 3 touchdowns, a pick. I thought he looked a lot better than last week.
Do you think I'm being dramatic where Bryce Young in this comeback looked on alternating plays unbelievable, complimentary, and then unbelievable, like derogatory?
Yes. Yeah.
Very few average plays for Bryce Young in this game. It was magical or like absolutely like stomach churning.
Yeah. Yeah. So, obviously there's not a whole lot to say about this game for people in Carolina looking for like silver linings. Ted McMillan looks really good. He's the type of player where I've seen enough already. He's going to be a legit player in the league. He had 6 catches for 100 yards. He also had a sick one-hander deep down the sideline where he like went around the defender and one-handed it, but just couldn't get in bounds.
Yeah, that was cool.
And it's just funny. This game I thought was pretty indicative of one thing, which is how important it is to hit on your early draft picks in the draft, because Ted McMillan to me looks like a surefire playmaker for them. I could even go far enough to say I think he's going to be a star in the league. And then the contrast between last year's first rounder, Xavier Legette, who had 8 targets, 1 catch, and -2 yards. And he had a carry that went for 0 yards. So he had 9 opportunities, 1 catch, -2 yards.
Panthers took Legette over Lad McConkey.
I didn't understand the pick at the time. Too raw, I think he was a 5th-year senior. He hadn't really done anything until that last year. All the warning flags are there. He's just explosive. So I think they got it. There's like glitter. They just got.
Honestly, I think he's from the Carolinas, and I think he's very Carolina, and I think that the owner looked at that as a tiebreaker. That's my gut. It's not like reported information, honestly, but I think it was close, and I think he's a local kid.
So before before Tet this last year in the first round, they had Liga last year in the first round, Jonathan Brooks, unfortunately, who re-injured his knee in the second round. And then the year before that, second rounder was Jonathan Mingo, who they traded to Dallas.
The Panthers, you whiff on picks and your team sucks. It's like
I just think this is such a clear example of, number one, first rounders don't always work out. And number two, it's how important it is for them to work out for your young quarterback. So Ted McMillan, I thought was a big plus in this game, even though they lost.
This is why the Bengals fell off. Just stopped hitting picks. This is, if you ever look at any great team, they hit their first round picks, and then when they decline, it's because they stopped. Okay, those were the 4 games plus the Burrow news that happened after we recorded with Craig. Now we're gonna get to everything else that happened today with Craig. We're here, DK, Craig, and I. We are recording. The Giants are actually still playing. They're in overtime right now of the Giants-Cowboys game. We are recording with the 3 of us because Craig is actually attending the Emmys, because he's like a big wig now. So Craig actually is going to the Emmys.
Yep.
So we're recording during the end of these games, and yet I flew back from a bachelor party today, so I actually missed the first quarter of some of these. I saw most of these games, but you guys were a little more locked in. So we're going to roll through all our categories here. I got to tell you right now, first winner is Russell Wilson. I don't want to jinx it. Oh, he's throwing the ball. Oh, and he just threw it.
Watching the game.
Russell Wilson.
Was that a fumble?
It's OT.
His stat line right now, Russell Wilson, for the New York Giants, he is 29 for 38 for 455 yards and 3 touchdowns.
I mean, he's like, I imagine he's in a puncher's. I feel every emotion possible. This game started absolutely preposterously. I think, who's the tackle that had all the, is it Hudson? James Hudson had 4 penalties on the first, was it the first drive of the game? Yeah. Which I believe, my brother texted me that had not happened in 100 years. I believe it.
How do they know that? I'm surprised they were logging that.
I think they set it up. I don't know. Maybe he made it up. But I can't even keep track of everything that's going on in this game. But so Russell Wilson, the end of this, like the fourth quarter literally is by drive, field goal, touchdown, 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 field goal. That was literally how the game ended. It was like just bombs to Malik Neighbors, Wan'Dale Robinson. Like he just, I have never gone 48 hours whiplash from the Giants are the worst team in the league to the Giants are going to win the Super Bowl.
Maybe.
Yeah. This is exactly what we said last week. Russell Wilson still got it. We did not doubt him whatsoever. No. We didn't go on record saying that he's done, that it's over. This is classic, though, because Russell Wilson will suck you in with his deep ball prowess. He's so fucking good at throwing the deep ball. It's just amazing. He literally, he is like the best in the NFL at throwing a deep ball, and that's what we saw today.
It's too bad because there's 5 minutes left in overtime and they're tied at 37 and the Cowboys just got the punt at the 40. So they're about to win this game because they have to get like 10 yards and Brandon Aubrey's going to hit a walk-off game winner, which sucks because the Giants probably should have started 14-0, not 6-0. But
this is a hilarious Russell Wilson game. Hilarious.
454 yards.
Once a year, he'll just be fucking incredible and completely blow you away. And you'll convince yourself, could we be something with Russell Wilson this year? Next week, he'll probably throw 4 picks and get benched. But this is vintage Russ. And
Wan'Dale, too, by the way. Wan'Dale Robinson, 142 yards receiving in this game. The slander went too far with these Giants, I guess. Everything we said about the Giants was wrong,
maybe,
at least in this game.
Maybe Jerry knew what he was doing by getting rid of Micah Parsons because he knew that if they have a worse defense, more high-scoring games, higher ratings. So maybe he's kind of like, I want the Giants to be decent against us so we can actually have shootouts here and get ratings. So maybe that's why they traded away Micah Parsons. Maybe he's playing chess.
Chess, not checkers. We can come back to this game when I'm telling you, the Cowboys are going to win this game.
Also, Brandon Aubrey kicked a 64-yard field goal to tie the game and sends it into overtime. The ball, as it crossed through the goalposts, I would say was probably halfway up the goalpost when it crossed over this ball.
I feel like we've never had a more kicking dichotomy because a bunch of kickers missed extra points today, but then other kickers are hitting 64. They get to mess with the balls. Now, the ball's juice, not literally, but they get to... The balls
they
now
get to
are
like
way better than they were last year.
And massage the balls.
Yeah, they're beating the shit out of the ball. Balls out of the pack. It's like a baseball mitt. It's like leather out of the packaging doesn't work really well. And so now imagine if
out of the ball.
They used to get an hour and a half to beat in a baseball glove, basically with the kicking balls. Now they get a week or really whatever, as much time as they want. So now we're going to see the kicking record broke multiple times this year. DK, who's your winner so far for this week?
Well, I got to go Dan Campbell. Because last week we were talking about how if Ben Johnson comes in and wins this game in Detroit, it's going to look really, really bad for Dan Campbell, who, there was a feeling that maybe Ben Johnson was the one who was responsible for the Lions' success over the last couple of years, or at least a large part of the responsibility for how good they were on offense. And obviously week 1, the Lions couldn't do anything, but they put that narrative to bed very quickly in this game, 52-21 over the Lions, over the Bears. The Lions offense was just electric in this game. Amon-Ra St. Brown, 3 touchdowns. Jared Goff, 23-28 for 334 yards and 5 touchdowns. And the run game was going. Isaac Tesla made another one-handed catch. Like, this guy, just all he does is make the most incredible catches you've ever seen in your life. The Lions are going to be just fine is basically the point here. They ran the ball really, really well against like a defense that I thought looked pretty good last week, I should say. The Bears defense. And so, yeah, vibes are back. This is another example of, I think, where the Lions are just perfectly like tuned for playing in a dome on turf where it's fast. This is exactly like, this is their bread and butter. And I think they're just going to be just fine.
We talked about on Thursday how this game meant more for the Lions than it did for the Bears. And you could really feel it. The Lions were up 45-21 in the fourth quarter, and Dan Campbell went for it on 4th down in the red zone and scored another touchdown to Amon-Ra St. Brown to get them to 52, which ties the highest score they had last year with Ben Johnson, was 52 points. And I feel like Dan Campbell was like, I want to show you that I can score exactly as many points as I could last year this year. Jared Goff, 5 incompletions, 5 touchdowns, 5 different Lions scored touchdowns.
The only real Lions mistake of the day was when Goff tried to jump up in the stands and kind of couldn't get there and got like half. It's like me when I try to hop a fence. Like that wasn't really great. I agree. The aggressiveness at the end of the half too was crazy. Like not crazy, it was smart. But the Lions were only up 7. Like it was 21-7. They weren't dominating the game. They were just winning. And the Lions were hyper aggressive at the end of the half. Like the Isaac Tesla, there was a crazy clock ruling with that I still don't actually totally understand, where you caught it out of bounds, but it was inbounds, but actually they called it wrong. So there was whatever. The Lions just, frankly, we're playing Madden with the way of like, oh yeah, 3 seconds. I can do a play in 2 seconds. And then they got the Amon-Ra St. Brown touchdown out of it at the end of the half. Like the Lions.
They looked like the Lions from last year, which was huge.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously we hope for that from the fantasy world, but just, I think obviously for Dan Campbell, a little bit of pressure off his back here. And they looked exactly like they did last year. And by the way, the Bears offense didn't look good. Or at least, I mean, they moved the ball at times, but this was a huge blowout. Yeah,
there were moments, they had basically 2 great touchdown drives on the day. Both ended up with Rome Odunze touchdowns, who looks like the kind of number 1 guy now. Yeah. It looks like he is officially taking over in the receiving room. But there are times in Chicago where these drives look really clean and smooth and nice, and it kind of looks like the mini Lions. It's like, oh, these guys are wide open. Rome Odunze is just like running a crossing route. Nobody's near him, and he strolls into the end zone. Yeah. You can feel that Ben Johnson just doesn't have everything clicking just yet, but there are moments where you can see it all coming together. Yeah. Caleb, I thought, was fine. He had a really bad, dumb interception, but also a lot of nice throws. And the thing is like when Ben Johnson's offense is cooking, I feel like the quarterback doesn't need to be a superhero. It is just Jared Goff sitting in the pocket and hitting open guys and being smart.
Right.
And you could see moments of that today. Those 2 Rome Odunze touchdown drives were like, oh, it's there. It's just going to take a while, I think.
I agree.
Okay. First of all, I got to let you guys know Russell Wilson about to get the ball back, which I can't believe the Cowboys couldn't get offering field goal range in overtime. I can't believe it's going to happen. 2:50 left. They better not give the Cowboys the ball back. DK, loser on the day so far.
Well, the Bengals won, but that's mainly because the Jags are terrible. Burrow has turf toe. Burrow is hurt again. This is terrible.
2 quarterbacks with turf toe in the first 2 weeks, Brock Purdy and now Joe Burrow.
Yeah. And so he looked like he was in some massive amount of pain. Like he could barely walk. He was limping. It was a thing where he had to have 2 guys next to him. He had his arms over their shoulders to like get into the locker room. Turf toe, we've talked about this last year. Turf toe sounds innocuous. We need to have some like really scary word for this injury because it's really not a good thing for anybody because, it's a really debilitating injury. It's like very painful. And I think it affects like the way you're able to plant your foot and all that stuff. So this is potentially huge. Browning, I think, actually played okay. He had one really ugly pick. I didn't watch the game super closely in the second half.
He was okay. He had 3 picks.
Oh, sorry. He had 3 picks, man. Yeah.
Dude, the Jags losing. Joe Burrow went down in the second quarter of this game. And the Jags lost. Jake Browning came in, played 2.5 quarters, threw 3 interceptions, and the Jags lost this game.
It was bad.
It's tough.
Trevor Lawrence had 2 interceptions, one of which was, I think they were inside the 10-yard line, and Lawrence had a pass rusher like right in his face. And I get that that's an issue, but he just threw a pick that is the difference between being a veteran quarterback and being a young quarterback is, oh my God, Russell Wilson just threw an interception. I'm going to, you know what? Whatever, man. Russell Wilson loses.
It was an arm punt.
This is the Russ experience.
Unbelievable.
It was an arm punt. He threw it way down the field.
They took 59 seconds off. Unbelievable. Whatever, man. But Trevor Lawrence is the difference between being a vet and a pro is like inside the red zone. Trevor Lawrence just threw a pick. Like it was like
terrible pick.
One of the picks were like a random person in the crowd might have been able to catch it. Like he just lofted it to a defender. And frankly, in a 4-point game, he just threw away a touch. Like that kind of is the difference. But overall, like the Jaguars, Jake Browning came in, just Joe Burrow being hurt kind of should have cost the Bengals this game. And it is incredible the Jaguars are not able to win. And I will say I made a mistake on the Friday show. I kept referring to the Bengals as 0-1 because I just kept thinking they had lost.
It felt that way.
It felt that way.
And I don't really
and how
listen
ironic
to
is
Heifetz,
it?
so I didn't correct it.
DK's just on Twitter when Heifetz is talking, so...
Yeah, he's never listened to anything I've ever said.
That's my bad.
But it's ironic the Bengals are finally 2-0 and now Joe Burrow's hurt. Like what a curse. Right. You know what I mean? It's Bengals fans are like, we just want to start 2-0. And then you start 2-0 and now it's like, fuck. Rather we've been 0-2 with Burrow.
This Bengals game is a great reminder of just the emotional swings that we can take in fantasy. Like last week, Jamar Chase, two catches, right? And we're like, oh God, maybe this team is really bad, whatever. Jamar Chase today, 14 catches for 165 yards and a touchdown. Just went absolutely.
I mean, that's
bonkers.
crazy.
Yeah. There was a bunch of other stuff that happened in this slate that was like, okay, so we could just forget everything that happened in week 1 kind of deal. But that one in particular stands out. 2 catches to 14 catches.
To kind of stay in that vein, could we fast forward to Fart or Shart, please?
Yeah.
Please.
Yeah.
Is that okay? Okay. DK.
Yeah.
Fart or Shart? The New York Jets offense.
Yeah.
The Jets lost 30-10 to the Bills. This game was never close. Justin Fields today. DK, have you looked at the box score? Heifetz or DK? Have you guys looked at the stat sheet?
I did. It's worse.
I watched more of this
worse
game
than you
than
can
others.
possibly imagine.
Okay, well then if DK looked, Heifetz, do you know Justin Fields' stats for the day? Don't look. What do you think his passing stats were today?
Honestly, I wonder if did he even have 120 yards passing?
He barely had 20 yards passing. Justin Fields today was 3 for 11. He had 3 completions for 27 yards total today.
How far into the game did he get concussed?
Like he played almost the whole game.
It was like late third, early maybe fourth quarter.
Yeah, he played almost the whole game. He was 3 for 11 for 27 yards. And the Jets in general, I mean, the Bills last week got shredded on the ground by Baltimore. The Ravens ran for 238 yards on the Bills last week. This week, the Jets had 154 total yards. Justin Fields, 27-yard passing. The Jets only had 100 yards rushing. Breece Hall, 10 carries, 29 yards. DK, is this, which is real? Which was the fart and which was the Shart? That doesn't really make sense, but you know what I'm asking.
This, to me, feels more like a fart. I think they'll be okay. I think that the week 1 performance was not real. Was not like indicative of what we could expect from them every week.
Well, then wouldn't that make this a Shart?
Well, I guess, I don't know exactly how to define it. I think somewhere in the middle is what the Jets are going to end up being, where they're going to get passed for 27 yards in a game every week. But this is probably closer to what we should have, or what we did, I think, expect with Justin Fields. And week 1 was an aberration. So I guess, yes, maybe is that the definition of Shart then? I guess that is.
I think the question is, fart is something that goes away in a little bit, and Shart is like a huge problem that kind of ruins your day or your season. And Shart's like a season-long problem.
I think this is both ends of the
Dak
spectrum.
Prescott just ran into field goal range. The game's going to end.
Yeah,
great.
And you know what really sucks? Is
why the fuck should I be happy, DK?
Get a better pick next year.
Tell me why.
You get a better pick.
Thanks.
And you know what's worse is we bet the stupid Cowboys minus 4. We're going to lose still. The Giants are going to lose and we're going to lose.
We need a word for this. We need a word for when you bet against your team and they lose but don't cover the spread.
It's like this.
So your team covers the spread but loses.
Yeah, it's like the bad middle. It's like it's like the upside down. I don't know.
The void. But yeah, no, I think this was really concerning. Honestly, I just looked it up. The time of possession was almost 40 minutes to 20, which totally matched the eye test of like the beginning was long Bills drives or explosive Bills plays. And the Jets couldn't sustain anything. Like, I mean, they went 3 and out, and then they had a fumble, and then like they couldn't. They just. It felt like the Jets didn't have the football for. I wish I had looked this up, but I watching the game, I felt like the Jets might have had the football for 5 total minutes in the first half. Like the Bills just every time you turn on the game, the Bills had the ball.
Yeah, credit to the Bills for coming up with like a much better run stopping scheme. But man, this was very, very alarming. And if you, I guess, sold high on the Jets in week 1, maybe good for you.
Right.
Do you want to stay in fart or Shart, DK? Do you have a fart or Shart?
Well, I think along the same lines, because I think the theme here is that week 1 was you kind of you get an opinion based on what happens in week 1, and you think it's going to like be indicative of what goes on the rest of the season, and then in week 2 you get to throw that completely out. That was the same with the Jets, same with the Bengals. Here, I want to talk about Zach Charbonnet versus Kenneth Walker, because I feel like this is going to be a roller coaster all year long. The reason I want to point this out is not to like shit on Charbonnet, but he had like one of the worst stat lines I have ever seen from a running back. I don't know if I've ever seen anything this bad. And by the way, he picked up 6 yards on the final drive when they were just running out the clock. So he had 15 carries for 10 yards. At one point, it was 14 carries for 5 yards. I don't know if I've ever seen that. And you guys kind of made fun of me last week because I was like, I don't know, Kenneth Walker got a little unlucky with the blocking. Like Charbonnet got the Walker blocking today. Like he got hit in the backfield on every single time he touched the football. It was just incredible. 15 carries. He had 14 carries for 5 yards at one point.
I would like to acknowledge that you're right about what you're saying. And also this is a very funny thing to say when the Seahawks beat the Steelers 31-17 and basically like made Aaron Rodgers look obsolete today.
Yeah. It was
Is any part of you happy about this game?
I don't agree with what that they made Aaron Rodgers look obsolete. If you watch that game, Aaron Rodgers did not play bad today.
Well, I think Darnold kind of played like shit.
Both quarterbacks.
What do you guys think?
Picks.
These are your two teams. I thought Darnold played like ass, and then they won by 14. What do you think, DK? What did you think of this game?
No. Craig, you can go first.
I think these teams were evenly matched today. And to be honest, Caleb Johnson lost the Steelers the game. I mean, it was a 3-point game, and there was a kickoff into the. There's a new rule at the kickoff. I don't blame him for screwing up, but honestly, I probably blame the Steelers for having a rookie return kick. So that's actually probably the issue. But he screwed up. The ball landed in the, what's it called? The hot zone?
Catch zone or whatever.
It's like pickleball. It's like the kitchen.
The kitchen, yeah. It's like from the 20 to the end zone. If the ball lands in there, it's live. He didn't realize that. It went into the end zone. The Seahawks recovered it. And it was a touchdown. It went from a 3-point game to a 10-point game, and it was over after that. And I thought it was a very evenly matched game.
It is a wild mistake where the kickoff rules are so new that you actually would think that they would go over this. It's kind of hard to believe you could not know that.
This was one
of
those
the whole
games
point of the rule
where I feel like if these two teams played each other 10 times, it'd be 5-5. Like Craig, you mentioned it. There was another play, I think in the fourth quarter, where Aaron Rodgers threw a ball into the end zone. It got tipped up.
The Seahawks picked it off. Like it was just
bad. Like obviously it was bad execution by the Steelers, but it was a lucky pick. The guy was in the right place at the right time.
But that was karma though, because the same guy dropped a pick that Rodgers put right in his face.
Oh God, yeah, he sure did.
Yeah. I just think this game was a bit more evenly matched than I think the score suggests. This was really a 1-score game going back and forth until the Caleb Johnson thing, and then it kind of got off the rails there. But I don't think the Steelers played that bad.
What did you make of Darnold today, DK? Because I think Darnold did. Well, they weren't all his fault, but like sometimes they were just like Cam Hayward unblocked in his face. I don't really understand what's happening there, but like overall, like what was the Darnold ride like today?
I mean, it was a roller coaster. This is like, I felt he was pretty close to like the Darnold we have known and loved for much of his career, where it's like on one drive, he'll make a sick ass throw down the field into tight coverage. And on the next play, he'll throw like a terrible pick. You know what I mean? He had two picks in this game. The first one was a really bad throw that Jalen Ramsey undercut to Cooper Kupp and made a nice pick on it. Ramsey had a good game. And that was a really incredible play.
Huge hit on Elijah Arroyo.
And then the other one, there was a couple plays. This happened actually, and now I'm kind of like, okay, now I see why the Seahawks maybe were a little gun shy to run too much play action last week. There was like 3 or 4 plays where they ran play action and got just fucking blown up in the backfield from like a really good pass rush by the Steelers. So that is always kind of the risk you run when you run play action, is a lot of times you're booting the guy out naked or whatever, and like just subject him to potential big hits. And that happened on the other pick. So, yeah, I would agree with Craig. I thought it was like a back and forth game, two teams that, again, I think pretty evenly matched. And and the ball just bounced the Seahawks way a couple times, and that was kind of the difference in the game. So I wouldn't react too much to this game in any certain direction. I think it's obviously a really good win for the Seahawks, though.
Doesn't Sam Darnold feel like a Seahawks quarterback? Like, it feels right, He's
it's
perfect.
the same old shit every year.
It's the Kevin Clark, like the Steelers or the Seahawks don't play normal games or whatever. But Darnold doesn't have normal games either. So they're kind of a
it's
perfect
just
marriage.
funny because everyone was just so happy to get rid of Geno Smith. Everyone is way over, that's rash or whatever. That's not true. Not everyone was happy, but there's a huge contingent of the Seahawks fan base that just really wanted to get rid of Geno Smith because of the backbreaking turnovers. And then we get fucking Sam Darnold to fix that problem. And he just makes two potentially backbreaking turnovers in this game. But
speaking of which of the Seahawks quarterbacks and stuff, I will say, I have to note the Giants lost this game. The Cowboys won with a walk-off field goal, 40-37. So
brutal. So I guess
whatever.
We'll wait on that extension for Russell Wilson. I will say one last thing I want to say about the Seahawks game. Number one, Kenneth Walker looked fucking electric. Number two, Jackson Smith and Jigba has raised the level of his game. I think he looks incredible this year. He was playing all over the formation. He caught a deep pass on Jalen Ramsey late in the game that I believe set up a field goal for the Seahawks. I can't remember. And he just looks awesome. He just really, really looks like he's turned into a true number one receiver this year. Not that he wasn't last year, but I just think he's taking his game to a new level.
There's also a little bit of the pass it to the Italians in Seattle, where it is kind of Jackson Smith and Jigba is the clear number one. Cup had a good game today, 7 catches, 90 yards, and it is kind of just the two of them. I think Jigba's kind of a lock as a top 10 receiver for this year going forward.
Mm-hmm.
But it's just kind of the two of them, and then everything else. There's a few tight ends here and there. Torrey Horton caught a touchdown, but it seems like 50 to 60% of the targets every week are just going to go to those two.
Yeah. So the I Am Become Death Oppenheimer Award for player who went nuclear. We mentioned Amon-Ra St. Brown, who again had 115 yards and 3 touchdowns. And as of now, he's the number one receiver.
We mentioned Chase as well, 14 catches, 165 yards.
Malik Neighbors, 9 catches, 167 yards, 2 touchdowns. They just,
Neighbors,
man, a crazy game. And you also mentioned Roman Dunze at 128 yards and 2 touchdowns. Didn't mention Wan'Dale Robinson, 140 yards and a touchdown, which is hilarious. But DK, outside of those guys, which we talked about, anyone else for Oppenheimer today?
We got to shout out James Cook. I remember in the offseason, we were talking about how regression is going to catch up with James Cook, and he's just not going to score a league-leading, whatever it was, 16 touchdowns this year. Maybe he will. He had 21 carries, 132 yards, and 2 touchdowns in this game.
I think that's my new thing, is anytime a player scores a ridiculous amount of touchdowns and nothing changes about the team, I'm just going to assume they're going to do it again.
I will say, Cook looks amazing. Some of the runs that he makes, he's speed skating through the defense almost. Like the way he cuts and accelerates away from defenders, it's just incredible to watch. He's a very, very explosive, slippery runner.
I don't think people think of him that way, to be honest. In the same way that we said, Marvin Harrison Jr. probably wouldn't have been drafted where he was had his name been Bob Smith. I actually think James Cook is suffering from the opposite effect, where I think people think he's less good because he's Dalvin Cook's brother. And they almost think he got nepoed into the NFL.
Right.
But in reality, he's great. And if he had a different name, if his name was James
So he's
Johnson,
a Skarsgård brother, where it's you're nepotism. But damn, he's actually pretty good.
Yeah, I wish he was Dalvin Cook's brother, because on his own, he has earned his reputation as a great running back, I think.
Do we ask the question, is it actually, or how close are we to Dalvin just being James Cook's brother?
It's wow. No, Dalvin had a lot of good years. Dalvin was great for a while. We need to see it for 3 more years for James Cook. I'm just saying,
the long, winding touchdown he had where one of the Jets players kind of caught his foot and then accidentally redirected him into a completely different direction. Propelled him 270 degrees. And then he was like, oh, this is all empty space. And then he scored. That was pretty amazing play. Yeah.
We don't have a category for this. It's like the opposite of the Oppenheimer Award, and I would we call it the Floppenheimer, but you mentioned
we should do that. That's great.
Yeah, the Floppenheimer. I would like to point out that the Ravens today scored 41 points at home against the Browns. Is
it going to be Derrick Henry's stat here?
You would think, if you didn't watch the game, you were out on getting lunch or breakfast, and you come home, and you're like, wow, great, I have Derrick Henry, and the Ravens scored 41 points at home.
They led the entire game.
He had 11 rushes for 23 yards. And this is the weird Derrick Henry experience. He also fumbled again. They recovered it. But
dude,
if an alien was watching football today for the first time And I said, tell me the worst running
Who's
back
this
in the
big
NFL.
fucker they keep handing the ball to?
There's a chance the alien is like, get that guy off the field.
He's so
fucking terrible.
slow.
100%.
Yeah.
And I guess
again, when Derrick Henry gets hit before the first 3 yards or 12 feet of line of scrimmage, he looks like the dictator, the statue of Saddam Hussein being toppled. Like he just looks like the complete like falling in a square.
He looks like they handed it off to a tight end because all the running backs were hurt.
Yeah.
That's what he looks like sometimes. So he had 23 yards. He
looks like he's been like lassoed at his legs, like he's getting hogtied. You know what I mean? Like in Red Dead Redemption.
So you never know. It kind of can be brutal.
Fantasy's so fun. I love fantasy.
The one thing I want to say though about that Baltimore game was a couple things I think after this slate are a thing. DeAndre Hopkins is a thing. Like the Ravens offense though with Lamar and Derrick Henry, and then like it's going to be so hard to not get DeAndre Hopkins one-on-one with a cornerback of their choosing. And it's very clear that he's not going to be some 8-catch-a-game guy, but DeAndre Hopkins, I think pretty clearly is still like an S-tier jump ball receiver, like one-on-one in the end zone. And I think that could be game-changing for Baltimore this year.
He's like a relief pitcher or like a closer where you kind of just only need to have him run down the sideline into the end zone and take like 4 shots a game. And he's so like, good and savvy.
He's like when a baseball team gets an incredible 8th inning setup guy. They're like, he doesn't have to be the closer. He doesn't have to be, but like, it's Derrick Henry, you got Lamar, but Hopkins is, that's a great call, like being a reliever. The other one thing I want to say about Derrick Henry though, just overall about the slate, the tight end, obviously Thursday night, Tucker Kraft, Zach Ertz went off. There was so much fantasy entropy today, though, where it's like Jawan Johnson had a touchdown. Otherwise, the tight ends so far that have touchdowns are like A.J. Barner, Luke Farrell, Brock Wright, Jeremy Ruckert, Davis Allen. Like, there were a lot of touchdowns today that were just fucking wasted into the ether. They were all either like your first or second round pick at receiver or tight end. I feel like nobody else like necessarily even scored. It's so over. We're so back.
We're so back. Well, the Miami Dolphins today
are drunk.
We're oscillating back and forth between we're so back, it's so over. But I will say there was a moment where Tyreek Hill caught a 45-yard pass with his back to the end zone, like he was fielding a punt from Tua. And he caught it, and it was the first 30-plus yard catch Tyreek's had in a year, literally 12 months. And we're back. Tyreek over 100 yards. Waddle caught a touchdown. Devon Achane had almost a crazy end of the game-winning touchdown.
So brutal. He stepped out of bounds.
He played another great game. Tua was kind of not good, had a terrible, terrible pick. And I think the Dolphins are awful still, and yet they can kind of move the ball.
Yeah. If we get this type of performance from the Dolphins in fantasy, like, we'll be fine.
Yeah.
But, man, the Dolphins really blew this. Tua had it was like a 4th and 8 or 10 or something like that to late in the game, and he just took a sack to end the game. I'm like, dude, throw the fucking football. Dude, you can't do that.
On that Achane drive where it would have been a touchdown, whatever, it was the play before. I think it was 3rd and 10, and he was rolling out. Nobody was open. He just ran out of bounds. Yeah. And there was like 50 seconds left in the game. I'm like, I don't know.
Well, also,
maybe do something.
Also, just the interception that went right to the
interception was unforgivable.
Was like that was that. I mean, at least the Trevor Lawrence one that was right to a guy. There was a guy running in his face, but that pick was one of them, like old school Jameis Winston. Like, I actually wonder if he doesn't know which color the jerseys are. Like, is he colorblind or LASIK or something?
Do I get credit? Do I get to feel vindicated for sticking with Tyreek and Waddle in week 2? Do I get that?
Sure.
No?
I don't get to tell you how you feel. You don't have to go to me for validation on how you feel.
Waddle,
Do you feel vindicated?
Well,
unfortunately, he had a touchdown.
Waddle 68 yards and a touchdown. Tyreek 6 for 109. I feel vindicated. Yeah, I do.
You thought about that.
What are you going to do next week?
Well, unfortunately, honestly, if the Dolphins scored that game-winning touchdown to Achane, I think I would have felt much more vindicated. But the fact that the game ended with such a fart, I feel less vindicated. I do think this offense will be able to do stuff like this season. I do feel that way. Tua just needs to be better.
Yeah, that was really bad. Mike McDaniel also not long for this world, I think. Debutante Ball Award for the player maturing in front of our very eyes. Gregorio.
I would like to shout out, once again, my guy Cam Ward, who they lost another tough game. They've had a brutal stretch, Broncos and Rams, but Cam Ward is starting to do some things that look a little Mahomesian. I'm not even close to saying he's Patrick Mahomes, but he is doing, first of all, he kind of moves like Mahomes. He's kind of top heavy and he kind of tiptoes around and he does this weird, like falling over, underhands it to people. But there, that's a scale. On the good end of the scale, it's Patrick Mahomes. On the bad end of the scale, it's Will Levis. And Cam Ward has not made any mistakes while doing these crazy things so far, which is impressive. He also had, I think, the best play of the day, the best throw of the day, to a touchdown to Alec Iomanor, who I would also like to throw in the debutante category.
Yeah, he looks good.
I just think these two guys are for real. And I think the two of them and Calvin Ridley, and I do think Cam Ward's really good. And I think he takes sacks and he holds onto the ball too long. He tries to play hero ball and stuff like that. But he makes a lot of incredible plays. And you can just tell he has a feel for the game that is rare.
DK, how do you feel about Cam Ward?
I was excited about the performance overall. Obviously, again, they played a really good Rams team, and this Rams team, I mean, offensively just couldn't be stopped. And so they were playing from behind much of the game. But overall, like, you got to be encouraged, I think. Iomanor looks like pretty legit, especially for a 4th round rookie. He plays strong. He had, I'm trying to picture it. He had like a really good Moss catch where he like one-handed it as he was going out of bounds over a
and
defender.
He had that crazy touchdown.
The touchdown.
If you haven't seen the touchdown,
that was
a
broken play where he got open too.
Dude, and that's the thing you're not supposed to do as a quarterback, is you're not supposed to throw across the field. He's rolling out to the right and he throws it across the field left, an absolute nuke right on the money to Iomanor in the end zone. It is one of the better plays you'll see in a while.
I think, talking about the Rams, Puka Nacua went absolutely off today. Nacua had a 45-yard rushing touchdown. This guy he's just such a unique player. Just the size, physicality, just brutal injuries every week, and he gets back out there, peels himself off the turf and keeps going. He had a 45-yard touchdown plus 8 catches for 91 yards. Davante Adams had a big game.
You called it with Devontae where you're like, all the touchdowns are coming. Matt Stafford tried everything humanly possible to get Davante Adams a touchdown today, and it had to wait, but it's so clear that I think Devontae is Stafford's guy in the end zone right now.
So I don't know. This was kind of like, a meaningless game, I guess, because we know the Titans aren't very good, but overall, liked what I saw from Cam Ward, and I really like what I'm seeing from the Rams in terms of just passing it to the Italians.
Worst play of the day.
I think I'm going to give it to Caleb Johnson screwing up the kickoff, to be honest.
That was tough.
I mean, I do think legitimately that cost the Steelers the game. I don't know if they would have won, but they would have had a shot had that not happened.
The Cowboys giving up the Giants touchdown at the end. I know the Cowboys won. I don't think it's worse than the Caleb Johnson thing, but it's kind of amazing that the Cowboys allowed those 2 touchdowns. Kind of hilarious, actually.
I know. Wandale getting behind the entire defense is pretty shocking.
It's like, oh my God, Russell Wilson threw a moon ball?
I know,
what did they think was going to happen?
What else is he going to do? Is Wandale Robinson good?
I think he's better. I was right. He was tough because he's a smaller player and he tore his ACL. And I think that he's the epitome of a player that if you don't have that like crazy agility at that size, it's kind of hard to win. He looks way better. I mean, the Cowboys game last year, I thought Wandale was frankly a huge liability. And this year, this week, obviously he had 140 yards, 2 touchdowns. Like Wandale was pretty great. So he looks like way better than, frankly, probably looked the best he's looked as a Giant, because he seems like he knows the offense and is healthy again, which is great because that was a 2nd round pick.
This is not the worst play of the game or the week, but Mark Andrews caught a touchdown and then got it punched out.
Yes.
Combined with tough. Henry fumbling again was like, I'm glad they won by 30 because the Ravens really needed that. That was crazy.
People are frustrated, to say the least, with Mark Andrews, who had 1 catch for 2 yards.
Yep. It's a problem.
He had it too.
It was a good play.
I mean, it was a very good play by the defender for sure. But man, just hold on to the fucking football.
Last week we burned Jalen Waddle, right? Jalen Waddle's our week 1 burn book, and then of course he went on to score a touchdown. Mark Andrews, I would say, is the front runner.
Oh, easily.
No way.
You don't think so? Burn book week 2. He's had 2 catches in 2 games.
That's not.
I think it's fine.
DK hits Mark Andrews. All right, well, we
don't hate him.
The other thing I want to throw out for worst play of the day is one offensive lineman being flagged 4 times in one drive in a game they lost by 3 points. It's not
then
great.
he got benched and he was fighting everybody on the sideline. He was
not
yelling
ideal.
at everybody.
He was really?
Oh yeah. I mean, Malik Neighbors was like, they were all in there. He had a big scrum. He was like pissed, yelling at people.
Yeah. Stadium pulse of the week.
Yeah.
And again, if you don't know Stadium Pulse, it's the meter in college football 20, the new video game where like the field goals get harder the bigger the moment is. So it's like an extra point is nothing if you're playing a team from the MAC, but if you're trying to beat Bam at the, in the SEC championship game, it's going 1,000 miles an hour. Stadium Pulse of the week. We have to go to college football. I don't know if you guys saw this, but Notre Dame was playing Texas A&M, and Notre Dame scored the touchdown to go ahead by 7 late in the game. And they missed the holder, dropped a perfect snap, dropped it so they don't get the extra point. They go up 6 instead of 7. And then Texas A&M goes down and just scores a touchdown with 0 seconds or like 13 seconds on the clock. And Notre Dame loses. So Notre Dame is 0-2 to start the season because this holder dropped a ball with the game on the line.
That's why they say you gotta. That's like forcing people to, execute everything that is involved with a kick. It's actually kind of hard. Like the way that the speed at which those snaps come out, like it's amazing to me that holders don't miss the ball more often. You know what I mean? Like it doesn't seem like a easy catch necessarily. So doing that job is always hard. I remember Pete Carroll used to always say this, like, because the Seahawks won some incredible games. There was a playoff game in the Pete Carroll era in Minnesota where it was like the coldest game ever. And I think it was, I can't remember who did it. Jason Myers. No, it was a kicker that actually ended up coming to the Seahawks later. But anyways, he missed a chip shot field goal to win the game in the playoffs. And Pete Carroll at the time was just like, so I would make you do it. You got to execute the snap, the hold, the kick. It's not that easy.
Speaking of kickers, so the Niners cut Jake Moody, who they took in the third round of the draft because he was terrible. They signed Eddie Pinheiro, who comes in and misses his first field goal.
It was an extra
if
point.
You needed logs.
It's like 25
you
yards.
Needed logs.
Yeah, truly a nightmare. Also, we should say, sticking with the Niners, Mac Jones. 280 yards, 3 touchdowns, no picks, played great. I mean, sure, I guess it was the Saints, but on the road, Mac Jones just came in, played good football, and they won the game and looked solid. Like now, I think looks like one of the best backups in the league. And
how many games in a row would Mac Jones have to win for the Niners until Niners fans didn't want Brock Purdy to start when he came back? Because obviously, if he went, well, I'm saying if Mac Jones went undefeated this season and won the Super Bowl, I don't think Brock Purdy would play next year. So the question is, how many games would he have to win? Maybe
I honestly, I think if he went 8-0, people would still want Purdy. Purdy went to a Super Bowl.
Yeah. All right, so maybe even Nick Foles had to give the job back. I'm just, maybe.
I think Mac Jones would need to get to the Super Bowl. I think
he'd have to
not
win.
Want Purdy. Yeah, he might even have to win the Super Bowl. He looked good.
Niners fans are losing it. No, I mean, look, Kyle Shanahan made a bad quarterback into a really good quarterback. Shocking. The Arthur Smith Shawn Hochuli Award for coach or ref that pissed you off today. Any coaches or refs that pissed you off, DK?
I'm trying to remember. I don't. Nothing comes to mind.
Craig.
The Jags, there was some, I don't know if you guys, DK, if you watched a lot of that game, but there was a lot of jawing going on between Trevor Lawrence and Liam Cohen. There was some, there's a little bit of Brian
Tough
Thomas
coaching.
Body language stuff going on. Some throws going over Brian Thomas's head. He's kind of walking off the field with his head down or shaking his head. And there was a play late in the game where the Jags are down 3. It's 4th and 5 and they're in the red zone and they go for it and they don't get it. And they're down 3, and Jake Browning is on the other side. He's already thrown 3 picks. They could have kicked a field goal, tied the game with like under 2 minutes to play or something. And they go for it. And it was some terrible slant to Brian Thomas. It didn't work. And I thought it was a very bizarre choice for how good the Jags defense was playing against Jake Browning and how many mistakes he was making.
I think the logic's they want to make Jake Browning go 95 yards.
I guess.
But the Jags look sloppy.
Yeah, again.
It's 4th and 5. I mean, if it was 4th and 2, I'd understand, but I don't know.
Brian Thomas had 12 targets, 4 catches, 49 yards, which kind of like builds on what we saw last week.
Last week he had 1 catch for a touchdown. That was it.
He had 1 run. It wasn't even a catch.
Yeah.
Didn't he it was like an end around or something. So yeah, that connection, they need to figure that out. The one positive I would say from this game, Etienne looked good again, and then Bishal Tootin scored a touchdown where he broke a tackle and squirted out and looked really explosive. So, I mean, their run game.
What was that?
Squirted out.
Yeah. He ejaculated through the line, if you will. No, I think he looked pretty good.
I do think he looked good. Yeah. I think Tootin's going to be a thing.
Yeah, same.
He might be more of a thing than Travis Hunter, who had 3 catches for 22 yards, and I continue to just kind of think that he's
This doesn't age well, but I meant to bring this up on the Friday show. I saw somebody tweet this. It was like somebody called Travis Hunter expensive Wan'Dale Robinson.
Yes.
Wan'Dale Robinson had a great game today. So
except unfortunately, Travis Hunter is a long way from having as many yards in his career as Wan'Dale did today.
Yeah.
So.
It's just like they're just like throwing him these little.
Should we start doing who had more fantasy points this week, Wan'Dale Robinson or Travis Hunter, and see how many weeks Wan'Dale wins?
Well, Kyle Pitts hasn't played yet. It's Sunday Night Football, so maybe we have to just for right now.
Expensive.
Two receivers who outscored Travis Hunter to lie.
2nd overall pick on Wan'Dale Robinson.
Oh man,
God.
3 catches, 22 yards for Travis Hunter.
Yeah, and I think he only played like 60% of the offensive snaps. So. Yeah.
And Jamar Chase had 16 catches, so I don't know.
Lucille Bluth, I don't understand the stat line. I won't respond to it. Travis Hunter just being Wan'Dale Robinson, that's pretty good. But were there any others? Wan'Dale Robinson, 142 catches and a touchdown.
There was a lot of
142 yards. Though.
I mean, Derrick Henry, Zach Charbonnet completely shitting the bed, getting hit behind the line every freaking time. God, that was so brutal. Also, can we mention real quick, Quinshon Judkins came in and played and like started for the Browns today. So we were obviously, I want to say, I'm sorry, I was very wrong on that. I thought that they would at least take a few weeks to get him up to speed. It's like he signed a few days ago and then now he's like starting for them.
I actually thought he looked pretty good.
Yeah, he looked good. He broke some tackles. Do
you think practice is overrated? Do you think that maybe guys shouldn't practice at all?
For running back, it's probably overrated. Yeah.
There you go. All right, good.
So I was wrong. I just wanted to, admit that, but I expected it would take a while for him to get on the field.
As a non-player, I feel comfortable saying practice is overrated.
There you go.
Talk about practice.
Burn book.
Mark Andrews.
I think so.
What the fuck?
He should have had a touchdown. Grant Delpit made a great play.
He should have. He dropped the ball. What are we talking about?
It was a forced. If the Ravens actually, John Harbaugh came really close to challenging that play, and I kind of wonder if they would have won
because he had possession for like a 0.1 nanosecond.
Because it's kind of like, it's kind of like at what point can you knock the ball out that it's a catch? And basically, if it were in the field of play, would it have been an incompletion or a forced fumble? And it's, I don't know.
In the end zone, it's
motion,
different.
You don't really know.
But yeah.
Mark Andrews has 7 receiving yards in 2 games. And once again, if you were out to lunch with your buddies today and you came back and you thought to yourself, I'm going to start Mark Andrews again. I'm going to stick with him. It was a bad week 1. You check the box score. Oh my God. The Ravens scored 41 and Lamar Jackson threw 4 touchdowns. 1 catch for 2 yards. People aren't, I'm telling you, they're not starting him next week. I'm not starting him next week. He's dead.
DeAndre Hopkins, 2 catches, 64 yards, and a touchdown.
Tez Walker had 2 touchdowns.
I think it is going to be very tough for people who have Mark Andrews to play him next week, especially because there are a lot of tight ends on the waiver wire. Like we should say, Juwan Johnson had a sick touchdown today.
Game. Yeah.
And I think Juwan Johnson is good. I just think his number is gross and his name is not sexy and he's on the Saints. But I think Juwan Johnson is good at football. And there are a lot of Kyle Pitts. I think people are going to start over Mark Andrews next week. So
the passion in your voice makes me think it has to be Mark Andrews.
I'm willing to hear some other.
No, I agree with Craig fully. I didn't want to be the one to like do it just because I feel like I'm beating a dead horse at this point. But yeah.
If you have any other suggestions, Heifetz, I'm open.
No, I think Mark Andrews is
like Harold Fannin had another decent game today. It's like you're starting Harold Fannin over Mark Andrews. I don't know.
Yeah. You can start Njoku and Fannin over Andrews right now.
Yeah, it's tough. It's tough out there.
You know who else had a good game? Jake Ferguson, 9 catches, 78 yards. There's you have better options out there at this point.
Okay, fine. All right, fine. We'll burn Mark Andrews. There you go. You guys happy?
We're so back. We've burned Jalen Waddle and Mark Andrews.
Yeah, we are back. We're back in form.
Yeah. Maybe that should be a tattoo. All the people in the burn book the year before, you probably shouldn't draft them.
You probably
when
shouldn't
you put it like
draft
that.
Them.
It's probably a good idea when you say it. Okay. I think that's all we have for right now. Thank you, DK. Thank you, Craig. Thank you, Carlos. Thank you, Kai. Thank you, Ronak. Thank you, Austin. Thank you, everybody. Thank you, everyone, for listening. Emails for ringerfantasyfootball@gmail.com. Emails, trivia questions for Monday waivers and trivia. Email us. Fantasy court cases, anything you need litigated in your fantasy group chats, anything people are yelling about. We'll do fantasy court on Wednesdays. We also have our weekly previews on Fridays. Yeah, I think follow us on Instagram, Ringer Fantasy Football, on TikTok. subscribe to us on YouTube. Ringer Fantasy Football.
Yeah.
Thank you, Lord.
Lauren.
Thank you, Ace of Base.
Nice. I
Saw
saw
the sign. Yeah.
Yeah. We should have seen the sign. Mark Andrews, week 1. That was the sign.
Well, it's tough because Isaiah Likely is like not playing. And so it's brutal that Mark Andrews has 2 catches.
Yeah, and he's like
in 2
coming
weeks
back
when
this week, I think. Or next week.
It's pretty brutal.
This is kind of in reverse. Like this is out of order when we're taping these because the top of the show is going to be just the 2 of you, but you'll be taping after we're speaking right now, but it'll run before. So I'm very curious how the Chiefs-Eagles game goes and Sunday Night Football. I will look forward to listening to you two.
Craig,
I'll be
have
watching on my phone.
Yeah, we need a report on the Emmys as well.
Yeah.
I implored you to wear your tuxedo on this show, and you did not do that. So I'm a little upset.
No,
Maybe tomorrow?
I'm not wearing. I'm also wearing a suit, not a tuxedo.
Oh, okay.
But I'm about to change into it right now.
Okay.
Yeah. I'll let you guys know. How
have
it goes.
fun.
Thanks.
But yeah, so Monday we'll get an Emmys debrief from you on Monday. Is that fair?
Yeah, because we will be taping Monday night after. Probably not after both games. Probably in the middle of the second game.
We still need to decide.
So late.
I might personally refuse to record after the end of Raiders.
I think that's actually
TBD.
totally fair.
I'm actually
see.
going to refuse as a father. We're not doing it.
Couldn't handle the East Coast. You couldn't handle the East Coast.
That's why I live on the West Coast.
That's not why you live on the West Coast.
Yeah, it is. It's because I don't want to stay up late.
Heifetz, have you received more emails after your rant? Like, what have the emails been like after your rant? That went on?
Mostly supportive.
Yeah. Okay.
How was the bachelor party, pal?
Yeah, was that fun? I feel
You
like the
wanna do this
listeners
now?
are now. Well, I think the listeners are now, involved since they heard 12 men barge into the house while you were recording.
You guys really want to know?
Was it a good time?
Now I'm a little nervous. I don't know.
It was a great time.
Okay.
That's
good.
Is in was at someone's one of the guys who was on the trip. His family has a lake house, or actually they have his dad and his brother has like 2 lake houses next to each other. It's amazing, and so we were able to go out and it was really fun. It was really cool, and it was an awesome time. And then my friend Mike, and I want to shout out my friend Mike because if you have kids, maybe pause. I'll give him 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 to
pocket,
pause. If my friend Mike is listening, fuck you. You're awful. He's the bachelor. He's the one getting married. He's one of my best friends since like 4th grade. And he thought it'd be funny to do like an Olympics thing and not tell us what the events were. Now, if you hear an Olympic style event at a bachelor party, you think like beer. You think like drinking.
Sure. Right.
We got in a van and went to a local like a park, and we did athletic events.
Like you went and exercised.
So he put me and my friend Jackson, pitted us against each other in a 100-meter dash. Everyone had their own challenge. Wow. And I won.
What'd you run that in?
We both
are you willing
11
to
flat?
Both got I don't care about the time. We both got hurt. He went down like a sack of bricks 20 yards in and had dual quads, like quad cramping. I turned to look at him and I'm like, I'm going to smoke this mother.
Quad cramping.
As soon as I turn to watch him, my hamstring pops and I pull my hamstring.
No.
Like something about being full speed and then turning to watch him crumple like a sack of potatoes. I then pop my hamstring watching
Was that
him
before or
crumple.
after you crossed the finish line?
Oh, wait, no, I fucking won. He collapsed literally to the ground. And I did the mic. I limped over the line. Everyone thought I pulled up. So I kind of just kept it to myself for like an hour. And then
you
I was
did
like,
the
just
Amon-Ra
Googling.
St. Brown thing. Did you guys see that by the way today?
Yes. That was the worst play of the day. I've never seen someone so
scared the shit out of me.
Yeah, he's like, oh no, I'm hurt. And he's like, just kidding. And I'm like, dude, that's tempting the football gods.
Also, Jared Goff for sure thought he was hurt.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He was like,
I'm like, that's the most like tempting fate thing I've ever seen. But yeah, so I pulled my hamstring in a fucking bachelor party because I dared go full speed at 30 years old. But I,
you just don't do it.
Yeah. And but it's like we just showed up and he was like, we're doing it. I'm like, oh, it's this bachelor party. Fuck it. I'll do it.
Did you stretch? What was the pregame warm-up like?
I tried to stretch, but it's like 10 minutes of stretching. I'm like, what was last time? If you're not, look, there are runners and there are not runners. If you're not a runner, when was the last time you really went in a full sprint?
I can't remember
actually a full sprint for like sustained.
I don't remember the last time I fully sprinted.
I play basketball weekly, so I guess that's sprinting.
So I played tennis, I played basketball. Even basketball, I feel like I have never reached, even in a basketball game, my 100th percentile. Not even saying that's fast.
And thank God, because someone would die.
I would probably kill someone.
Yeah.
But yeah.
So how
I
hurt
did-
is the
I-
hamstring? How do you feel today?
I think it's going to be like a month, man. I don't know.
Really?
I don't
so you
know.
really
it's
pulled it.
hamstring.
It's off the
I
bone.
think it's the lowest grade there is.
It's like
I don't
pulled
think
pork.
it's like, yeah, it is. No, it's like DEF CON where it's the high sounds low. I think it's like the lowest grade.
DEFCON
But-
5.
Do you jog? Do you run? Like, are you going to be able to do that or no?
No, I lift, which is certainly on pause for weeks.
What do you mean? What about your upper body?
Well, yeah, I mean, I think
You can do
yeah, I mean, I
curls.
could do
Curls for the girls.
upper body stuff. I think my
Yeah.
leg presses are probably on pause for the foreseeable future.
Wow. Did anyone else get
tying
injured?
my
or is it
shoes
just you?
sucks. Oh, just me. Well, my friend Jackson. I mean, he tumbled, but no.
Pulling a hammy
lot of the
is
other
not
guys
fun.
are runners, but no, it's not fun.
So funny.
And yeah, and you know what? You feel dumb because I want to be mad at Mike, but I'm mad at me because like, why did I do that? But I kind of decided in the moment, I'm like, all right, well, what if I can just run 100 meters as fast as I can and it's fine? Let's just find out. And I found out really quickly.
Is there video of this?
Believe it or not, no. Which is a stunning oversight
Huge
by
fail.
everyone else there. But I wasn't
Yeah.
going to remind them.
We would.
I also told everyone, I was like, I'm going to get injured doing this. I actually was like,
Yeah. The odds were always very
humans
strong.
sprint very rarely. You're right. Like there is
like,
not
like a true, like as fast as you possibly can run. I'm like, even on a tennis court, I'm like, you don't really get to full speed. There's not enough
even
space to get to
close.
full
You're not
speed.
Sprinting in tennis,
Like you
no.
burst, like even in a basketball thing, like how often are you really like the DK Metcalf,
No,
chasing down Buda Baker in the game? Like that, like an actual like Mose from the office
Full-
running as
yeah.
fast as you
Full-on
can.
sprint.
And like as soon as I got to like whatever the fastest I can go is, and I turned like a millimeter, my body's like, ugh, done.
I very genuinely do not want to know what it would look like if I tried to run right now. Like it's better not knowing that feeling.
Yeah, I agree. Ken confirms better not knowing.
Oh, I'm
It
sorry
would
to
be
I
hear
thought
that.
this would be a
It's-
funnier story. You guys
I know,
just feel
it's
bad for
honestly
me, which is
hilarious.
worse.
No, I don't. I think it's really funny.
Just the thundering
good.
clopping from Heifetz.
I like that you trying to do like the most 1% athletic move possible, which is just turn around while running and you pulled your hamstring.
I was sprinting,
Right.
but yeah,
Would you have
I
beaten
just-
him? Were you faster than him, you think?
I was. But also,
Okay.
I just should. You know what? Who cares? I
Did
just
someone
should've been-
win the
I wish I'd
Olympics?
just been a dick. But isn't it kind of a dick move to like the guy who's his bachelor party and he's like, I want to do this, and you're like, nope, I won't run 100 yards.
Who won? Who won gold? Or how did you
No,
do
we
it?
were the only ones who did 100. Other guys did like some people got to throw a fucking frisbee. That was just the one he just assigned people shit.
Discus?
Someone was like, yeah. I was like, it's unbelievable. So I was, yeah.
But, like,
And
what
also,
was
we
the-
got hurt, and everyone else was like, yeah, let's just stop. So we didn't finish.
Were you all sober or did you guys drink before?
No, it was
Doing
sober.
this.
It's the worst part.
Damn, it sucks.
And then they did a home run derby, and I'm walking. That was fun. I go to a park, and they were just cranking homers, and I was just like, "Fuck! I wish I could swing a baseball bat."
We did a home run derby at my bachelor party, and I I threw out my back swinging so hard.
Carlos just pointed out, by the way, that we do have a video of me running. I forgot about that. We on the treadmills we ran at the Super Bowl. That was a little scary, I will say. And I wasn't even going
treadmill's
very fast.
scary. I don't have the
Treadmills you could just like topple very easily.
foot-eye coordination to be like, "Oh yeah, I'll just run on a treadmill really fast."
Weren't-
It gets
DK,
like really loud and vibrating and stuff.
weren't you wearing like jeans?
Yeah, I was wearing jeans and like slip-on shoes.
God.
I didn't bring workout clothes.
That was
All right, well, anyway.
like a Holiday Inn in Detroit. Where were we?
No, in New Orleans.
New Orleans.
With the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
All right, so Craig, you'll give us the report from the Emmys tomorrow. We'll do after.
Yeah, I'll let you
during
know
the
if I
two-
win. I'm
Yeah,
just kidding.
yeah.
I'm not nominated for anything, obviously.
2 Monday night. You'll tell us the whole spiel and why you're there and everything. We get the 2 Monday Night Football games. We'll go through waivers and all the waivers and people you got to add to replace Mark Andrews. And then, yeah, if anyone can help me with my hamstring, email us at ringerfantasyfootball@gmail.com. That'd be great. Other bachelor party injuries. I'll take bachelor party injuries. I'll take really hamstring recovery would be great. Thank you.
All right. Ice it, elevate it, heat it. I don't know what you need to do.
Fucking A.
So thanks for nothing.
I'm going to go
Craig.
back in time.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right. Goodbye, everyone. Must be 21 plus and present in select states. For Kansas, in affiliation with Kansas Star Casino, or 18 plus and present in D.C., Kentucky, or Wyoming. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit rg-help.com. Call 1-888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org/chat in Connecticut or visit mdgamblinghelp.org in Maryland. Hope is here. Visit gamblinghelplinema.org or call 800-327-5050 for 24/7 support in Massachusetts or call 1-877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY in New York.